Should you buy a plug-in hybrid version of the C-HR or not? That's why you're here, isn't it? Well, welcome to Navi on Cars. I'm going to help you answer that question. This is a version of the really successful C-HR, the second generation version of it, but there's a couple of catches. There's some good points as well. I'm going to discover them all with you today here on this video, so stay with me. Let's start with some of the negative stuff then, shall we? Only way you notice this is a plug-in hybrid is the extra port on this side of the car, PHEV in the back, and the boot, which is a little bit compromised, and it's a little over 300 litres, which is tiny, 50 litres down on the standard hybrid version of the C-HR. So that's not good. Oh, there is a 3-pin plug point in that boot though. That is good. It hasn't changed in this sense, but it's still a very compromised car in the back when it comes to rear legroom. Taller passengers, especially teenagers, beware. Or parents, beware. They're not paying for it. Just how efficient is the plug-in hybrid version of this car compared to the standard 1.8 or 2 litre petrol? Let's go for a drive and explain that bit right now. For quite a while, Toyota have displayed the EV ratio in their hybrid cars. And in this version, even if you're out of battery or not using the EV pure charged mode, you're still getting about 70% easily. They've made it a little bit complicated to turn off the speed warning beeps. You've got to hold down OK, you've got to flick through the settings, which is another click, scroll down to RSA, which is ironic, and hit on that, and then it'll land back on settings, and then you'll want to look at something else, so you're going to... It's convoluted. It would be great, Toyota, if you just had a straightforward couple of clicks at most. That would just be less frustrating to turn off those beeps. That must beep every couple of seconds when you change up and down a kilometre over the speed limit. Not Toyota's fault, EU's fault. A couple of options then as to how the auto setting between petrol and hybrid and EV works. There's just a button that literally says auto. It'll do all that for you. You can manipulate it then if you press it, where it won't just rely on the charge you put into the car. It'll do what it says HV mode, so hybrid vehicle mode. And despite the extra 200 kilos, I mean, the C-HR was always a sharp car to drive when it came to handling. Like, C-HR stands for Coupe High Ride, but that's a little bit misleading because it's not sitting really high up. It's not a RAV4, for example. You do feel more at one with the road. And then when you go through corners and things like that and roundabouts, there's very little body roll, so it has got really sharp handling and sharp steering to go with it. So there is a sporty feel to driving this car, even more pronounced in the PHEV version, because it's faster to 60 than the 2 litre by pretty much a second, and it's 3 seconds faster to 60 than the 1.8 litre version of the car. So actually the C-HR PHEV especially will surprise you as to how nippy it is. There's no getting away from the CVT gearbox whine in this car. Floor it and you'll hear it, as well as picking up speed. The suspension is very forgiving. It even likes speed bumps, of which there are many around Dublin. So it copes with all that stuff really well. Great job on the suspension. However, I've noticed that when you accelerate or if you brake, there's a lot of pitch movement in the car, so you'll go like this and then a little bit like that, and it repeats itself quite a bit. And in stop-start traffic, that could get a little bit annoying. But what I love about it is, and it's the same with all plug-in hybrids from Toyota and Lexus, even when the battery that you've charged at home or at work or wherever is depleted, they're still really, really easy on juice, no matter how you drive them. Like, I drove this car hard from Dublin to Bray last weekend, and it just didn't care. It didn't use any more fuel. And that's where Toyota nail things. They're efficient, reliable, a little bit safe at times. Although the styling of this car probably couldn't be accused of being too safe. And really, if you want a car that just is not going to wreck your head, and you don't care about that it's not the most desirable brand name in the world. I saw a video last week of the last 20 years of Toyota in terms of sales. There was times when Volkswagen Group cars were very close to them. And even during COVID, when the world imploded a little bit, particularly car manufacturers due to semiconductors and all the rest, Toyota were just rock solid. And there's a lot of articles out at the moment about, will traditional car companies, will they all survive? And someone actually did mention Toyota, and I just laughed at it. Like, they're not going anywhere. When it comes to trim, you have to go for a Sport Plus version in the PHEV. The entry-level C-HR doesn't come in a PHEV. You can just get that in a 1.8 or a 2 litre. So actually, the difference between a plug-in hybrid of a Sport Plus and a standard Sport Plus is €2,500. That doesn't seem too bad to go to a plug-in hybrid version of a car. However, when you compare it with the entry-level price of a new C-HR, which is already an expensive car now from over €40,000, it's actually £5,000 extra to get into the PHEV. It's not all bad though. The interior is as solid as you like. There's not a squeak or rattle. The seats are comfortable. The interior is nice. You're nicely cocooned. It all works. If you want to find out more information about the C-HR in general, hang on till the end, or I'll leave the link down in the description below for you to catch my other several reviews of this latest generation of the C-HR. This plug-in version of the car has a 13.6 kilowatt hour battery. Should get you a range of about 70 kilometers. It's barely 2 kilowatt hours in the standard hybrid version of this car, which, as I'm sure you know now, will just tip along in petrol and will shut down and drive in EV mode when it has enough power in the battery to do that. This will do it more regularly. You can also drive with a combination of PHEV and petrol, just purely electric, up to that range of 70 or so, or you can charge it on the way to your journey. So there's lots of options, but it kind of seems to go against the whole idea of having a PHEV to charge it on the go. Oh, and another thing the PHEV compromises the car, it's 50 litres down on the 2 litre petrol, it's 80 litres down in the boot space on the 1.8. Something else that is a win for the C-HR is the warranty. If you get this car serviced at a Toyota dealership, they will honour the battery warranty for 15 years. And to the best of my knowledge, nobody beats Toyota at that level of battery warranty. Something else that I've noticed is there's a lot of extra stuff that feels like a massive battery housing part underneath the car, which doesn't quite make sense as to where the battery is because it's compromised in the boot by the... Anyway, this is no doubt going to be a reliable car. It's a great small family car because I just don't think buggies and that was going to work in this smaller boot. It will charge pretty quickly, about 6 kilowatts on the wall box, and it should deliver a range. Toyota don't really make things up when it comes to range like that. But the other C-HR is cheaper and $2,500 cheaper in the same trim, and it's still really economical. Sure, it won't do zero emissions if you have this thing plugged in, but it will still do somewhere between 4 and 5 litres per 100 kilometres, which is pretty good going. And you'll get a bigger boot, and it's cheaper. So you'd really want the credentials of a plug-in hybrid to justify the PHEV version of the C-HR. And that is just because the other car is so good, but expensive. Anyway, hopefully the pros and cons that I've pointed out in the specific PHEV version of the C-HR have helped you out today. If they have, you might consider liking this video, sharing with someone else who's interested, or subscribing to the channel. It all helps, believe me. Any comments or thoughts or questions, please feel free to leave them down below. It's great to have a little YouTube community of people chatting away, and I'll talk to you in the next one.